What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Switch Talk 2, the perfectly pocket-sized podcast for fans of this amazing hybrid console that has stolen our hearts and minds. Switch 2 is on a tear lately. Lots of great games on the horizon. One that peaked in the launch window was Hogwarts Legacy. Could you believe it? And our own Clay Howard has played it. And we're going to talk about it. But first, a quick get to know you question. On brand, let's talk about the four houses. You know what I'm talking about. Clay, David, the house that you want to be in. I think it's Ravenclaw, Hufflepuff, Gryffindor. What's the last one? What am I missing? Slytherin? Did I say Slytherin? Okay, so that's the easy one because everybody knows Slytherin's cool. Which house would you be in, Clay? And why?
Ravenclaw.
Because you're edgy? Well, like, what? Why do they all have white hair and pale skin? What is this about?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. I don't know. Ravenclaw just seems the most like kind of in the middle. They're not great. They're not bad. They're not dorks. And
They
that's
are
what's
bad,
left.
isn't it? The whole thing that they're like horrible people, Slytherin. Like they're
That's
always
Slytherin.
jerks.
I
and
didn't
enemies.
say Slytherin, did I?
You just
I
said
said
Slytherin.
Ravenclaw.
She said Ravenclaw.
Oh, I got them mixed up. No, the Ravens. No, you're right. I'm sorry.
The blue one.
Birds.
And my favorite color is blue. And I don't know. The Ravenclaws seem pretty chill.
I thought they were
and then
purple.
No, they're blue.
What am I thinking of?
Okay. Purple is one of the colors of Hufflepuff. I think they're like yellow and purple, maybe. Which is just
Harry
really
Potter
rough.
fans are listening to this shit, tearing their fucking hair out. David, which house and why?
I really don't have a strong opinion about this. I guess
I'll
go Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw?
Yeah, why not?
I think nobody wants to be Hufflepuff, so I'll go Hufflepuff. I don't know. It's kind of cute. Gryffindor is like so lame because it's like mainline and like, oh, I want to be in the same one as like the main characters type thing. I don't know. I think Hufflepuff is, the adorable, like cute, like outcast misfits type thing, right? Isn't that what it's about? I don't know. How much of the houses like interplay is there in the game, Clay? Just like as a mini tidbit. Is there a lot of that? You pick your house, I assume, when you play the game?
Yeah, you get to pick it, and it changes where you kind of operate out of on what side of the castle you're on. And so the first time I played through, I think I played as Gryffindor, and then on this playthrough and Switch 2, I think I did Slytherin and was just trying to be a real mean prick the whole time. And so that was different. And then you go to classes with another house, and I think that changes. But other than that, I'm not entirely sure what all is different, other than just kind of where you kind of go to and come out of a lot of the time. And maybe the other characters, I don't even know if the characters change, though. It's just different houses, maybe. That's a good question.
Before we get into that, I did want to start the episode, after that get to know you, with a confession. I have never finished watching these Harry Potter movies. I never saw the last one. I actually think I didn't see the last two because they're like, if I'm not mistaken, they released the last part of the story as a two-parter. Is that right? Like a part one and a
Correct.
part two? Okay, so those I never saw. I don't know what happens. I think I care because every time I think about it, I think that I should go back and watch it. But I've been holding that deep inside for, when did these movies come out? When did that, probably like, it's been like 10 years, I bet, right? Something like that. Something nuts. But I never finished it.
More than
so are you guys big Harry Potter fans? Like, I like them. I think they're decent. I find them charming. I don't think they've aged the best. David, are you a big a big Potter? I don't know what they call them, but
I don't know. I read them when I was kids, but I don't really interact with the IP anymore at all. So
on that same note, I didn't read any of the books. How about you, Clay? How big?
Yeah, I read the books. I didn't finish all of them, but definitely read the first uh, 5 or 6, I think, as a kid, and definitely watched the movies. Big fan of those. So yeah, I guess I would call myself a relatively big Harry Potter fan. Yeah.
Cool. So let's get into it. Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch 2 is a fully rebuilt version of the open world action RPG originally developed by Avalanche Software. It's not a port. They've done actually quite a bit of work on the title to get it up to running a lot better on the Switch 2. So spoiler alert, that's we're gonna talk about a lot of this because our very own Clay, who's played the game, code provided, because I think we have to say, you played this game originally on what?
On the Steam Deck slash my PC at home.
Okay. And then now switch to. So that's where like a lot of my questions are going to rely on is like, is this worth it for someone who would double dip? Because it's a pretty popular game. It was critically acclaimed. And I'm just wondering when this came out, I was like, didn't people play Cyberpunk already? Didn't people play Hogwarts Legacy already? Like for some of these ports, I was like, I wonder how popular they're going to be. So it really has to be worth it to double dip. So tell us about the game, Clay. What do you think?
Yeah, so this is a weird one. This is an interesting release that I don't fully understand who this game is for, and we'll talk about that obviously. But it's like if most people probably who are Harry Potter fans probably already played this back when it first came out,
Mhm.
either on PC or Xbox or PlayStation. Um, Probably played it then. Then there's maybe a second group of people who waited, knowing it was a first, like a one player, a linear story. Like, oh, maybe it'll go on sale eventually. I'll get it then. Then there was another group of people that maybe waited for it to come to the Switch One, and then bought it because they either don't have a PC, Xbox, or PlayStation or whatever. But then to then turn around and make it again for the sequel console to the Switch. It's like, okay, so who does that leave though? It's either people who want to replay it, who have already played it before, or somebody who's just looking for a new game to play. And so it's a little odd. And I feel like if you played it on Xbox or PlayStation, I don't know why you would want to pick this up on Switch 2. Yes, it's definitely an improvement from the Switch 1. And yes, it was even better than playing it on my Steam Deck for whatever reason. And so, yeah, it's an interesting one. Like some people probably will think it doesn't look very good. I actually thought it looked pretty good graphics wise, and I could talk more about that later if you want. But it's an interesting thing, and they're it's not like they cut the price in half or anything. I'm pretty sure they're charging full price for it or near that, I think. And so it's a bizarre one. I love this game and I highly recommend it to people. And I would say even if you're just like slightly a Harry Potter fan, I think it's a good one to jump into. The storyline feels a lot like Harry Potter, but it's not so like beat for beat like Harry Potter that it feels like a brand new thing, but it still has that same magical whimsy to it that the movies and books did. So
It's interesting because like I have been now that I've played things on Steam Deck, I'm used to compromised experiences. I will play Xbox like X Cloud streaming games, and I will sit there and play games like that and be fine. And I will play things on low settings. I'll play like Baldur's Gate on Steam Deck, and I'll be okay with it. But I'm okay with it because when I do want to jump over to PC and run it at, I do things at least 30 frames per second on like very high. Um, that's the experience that I want. So I'll play it handheld and I'll play it on the deck, but I also want to see what they have, the higher capabilities. So that's for me is decent and I'm okay with that. So I think that's the perfect environment where you have the PC slash Steam Deck. Just to give our listeners, if you're unfamiliar with the performance, like how it goes on PC, if you have a beefy machine, high end, you could go up to 60 frames per second at 4K, obviously. So it depends on your hardware, obviously. For the consoles, so PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, they have a performance and a quality mode, so it could go between 30 and 60. I think what's interesting though is what it was originally on Switch 1 and then what Switch 2 can do. So Switch 1 was by all accounts subpar and people were playing it but not recommending it because of the compromises. On Switch 2, so this what we're talking docked 1440p and then handheld 1080p, both with HDR. It uses DLSS. They have enhanced lighting, better shadows, refined animation. And some of the loading screens are also not present in the open world, which a lot of people have said they really like. So those improvements. So the frame rates are a lot more stable in the Switch 2 version. Again, I'm not a graphics snob, and it's hard to talk to somebody about is this worth it visually? Because you're really giving your opinion on what you're okay with. For you, since you've played it on so many things, Switch 2 for the money, would you say that it's okay? You should play this. You should jump in. It or would you say, look, if you're a fan, go ahead and get it on any of these other things where you can play at higher fidelity. What do you think, Clay?
I'd say if you're looking to play it in handheld, this is a great way to play it. I don't think it looks the best in handheld mode. I think playing it on TV when you're sitting on a couch far away is the best way to play it. I even think sitting here at my computer desk with my monitor like 2 feet away from me, a foot away from me, it doesn't look the best. But in handheld mode, or on the TV, it looks good from far away, and it's higher res. It's 1440, but you just can't tell as much. But in handheld, it is still technically, in my opinion, the best way to play it, even compared to like the Steam Deck right now. And so I would say if you want to play this game on the go, this is the best way to play it. If you have
Agreed.
no other way to play it but the Switch 2, then yes, I would still recommend it. But if you have any other means to play it at with a beefier machine, I would recommend going that route. But for some people, this is the only console they have, or they haven't played it before and they're just looking to start fresh. Okay, that's great. I just think it's a really beautiful game, and they did a really good job with the visual look of the whole thing. And so I regret not playing it on my Xbox when I originally got it. Instead, I went with the PC thing, and I kept having to tweak settings to try to make it not, make it a decent frame rate on my Steam Deck, and I ended up suffering, and so I regretted it a little bit. And so I wish I had and I didn't have a nicer graphics card at the time for my PC. Now I do, but I didn't then, and so to be able to play it on the go, I had to make some sacrifices. I feel like with the Switch 2, you don't have to make as many. It's not perfect, but it's pretty close.
The last question then, because I have the option right now, I could buy it and play it handheld on Steam Deck or buy it and play it handheld on Switch 2. So your final answer is if you had to
Switch 2.
advise me, Switch 2. Okay. So
Definitely.
Switch 2 handheld runs at 1080p with HDR and DLSS, and it targets a stable 30 frames per second, but there are minor dips. So very, very interesting. There's a lot of tweaks that you can do with Steam Deck, so you can't really definitively say, hey, one is better than the other. But I take like someone like you, your opinion, who's been able to play both, and I weigh that highly. David, what about a video game like this? Because you don't have it, you haven't played it. What's going to put you over the edge to convince you to finally pull the trigger and get this title?
Um, I would never buy a game and give J.K. Rowling money, but that's
Oh, we're
me.
going that route.
No,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
will
okay.
not
I,
buy this
I
game.
forgot about that. I was like,
Yeah, I
there
think J.K.
is
Rowling.
some
Yeah,
controversy about this.
yes, I will not buy this game. However, I'm not judging other people's decisions, but personally, I'm just trying to answer the question honestly. There isn't really something that would get me to buy this game personally. However, let's say it was a different IP, completely disconnected, like from all that. So just kind of a imagination here for a thought experiment. There's other games. I know there's a talk of a lot of games now coming out for the Switch that are kind of these AAA Switch 2 AAA games, and I've been seeing a lot of conversation about should you even bother with it when it's on other platforms. And I think for me, if I assuming this was a different game, if everything that Clay said is accurate, if it's an acceptable uh, if it's not running at completely terrible frame rates, completely terrible resolutions, like I'm at the point now where I'm okay with getting stuff from the Switch if it's not quite as good as the other platforms, just to be on a platform that I like and I feel that isn't disintegrating as I feel like the other two platforms are right now. As someone who's seriously considering potentially not jumping in next gen and maybe going PC plus Switch, I think there's something to be said on investing in a place that an ecosystem that I feel for sure that I'm going to never leave as a lifelong Nintendo fan. Getting things on Nintendo platforms, I know I'm going to always be there one way or the other, whether it be going back and playing old stuff. Like I still I still got an old Wii kicking around with some GameCube games that I play, plus backwards compatibility. And I think Nintendo is going to do a good job going forward, continuing to support their software. I think we're past the point of like complete fresh starts with new hardware. At least I'm hoping so. So, um, as long as it's a compatible port, and I don't feel like I'm really terribly missing out on something, like I'm totally okay with jumping into a AAA game like this. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, you bring up a really good point. When I look back on like a system and like the value or the fun that I'm having, or like, is this worth it? The fact that this exists, like these, you could call it like AAA or whatever, these meaty adventure RPG, like I think that these are like crown jewels of titles. And if your system can run it in a way where it's like, oh, this is something that's worth my money and brings value to the whole ecosystem that you're playing in, the whole system, it being available on Switch 2 immediately makes me happy and butters it up and puts it on my radar to play. These are great titles to have in your lineup, in my opinion. Like when you look at other things like, oh, free to play stuff and indie stuff like that. I don't weigh those as heavily as games like this. Another
Mhm.
slight confession, which is insane. I I watch reviews of everything, whether I end up buying it or not. I watch reviews. I'm just interested in it. I never watched a review for Hogwarts Legacy. I don't really know about the game, and I'd like to hear more about that. And just setting the stage for it, this would interest me if I thought the combat was good. And I've heard tangentially that the combat is surprisingly good, but that's what I really want out of these type of games. Can you tell me what it's about, Clay? Like from someone who's like never gotten like meaty descriptions of the game. I assume it's exploration of the movie sets, like the what's it called, the school, and
Hogwarts,
yeah, Hogwarts, right? Of course. But like,
right?
so what's the driving thing with the game?
Yeah, so I mean, it's a third-person action adventure exploration game where you're running off and following quests. You have main quests, you have side quests, you have collectibles out the wazoo. You can basically explore the entire Hogwarts campus. And so it's super huge and expansive, but there's different quests to go on. It throws you right into this really well thought out and well like voice acted and animated cutscenes as you're like getting brought into the school, and you're kind of like a late addition. You're like a you're not a first year, you're like older, but it's your first year there. And so you kind of get thrown into this storyline, you get pulled into it. It has a really good bad guy who's a really unique villain that I really enjoy. and you basically find out that you have, like, the typical video game. You have the secret power where you can see ancient magic and blah blah blah. You get pulled into it, but it's really good. And I remember sitting there when I was reviewing this, just playing it for the first time, after, I haven't played it for a while, and just the opening 45 minutes is like a mixture of cutscenes and playing, and it's just like watching, like you would, a TV show on HBO or something, where it's just like it pulls you in, and it's really well done. And so you basically run around, and you're doing classes at the school to a
That's
degree, but then you're
awesome.
also doing all these other things. And so it's just got a good mixture, and you're running around doing all kinds of stuff. It's really addicting to want to, like, I haven't 100%ed it, but I really wanted to the first time I played it. I'm bummed I didn't, but there's just a lot to explore and do, and they keep introducing new things that you can do and new mechanics. And you'd be surprised how far in you get, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, they're still teaching me new things. And so it's not just running the same fetch quests back and forth all around campus over and over. They're continually adding new things for you to do and unlock and explore, and it just keeps building on top of itself. It's really enjoyable.
I love when a game gives you more new stuff every little while to keep you interested. Does it show literally everything from the films, every location,
Well,
and
no,
like the
sorry.
staircases that move? How did they? Is that in there? And how could they possibly do that?
Yeah, they're in there. I mean, they just do. I think they're slightly different than how they were in the movies. I can't remember,
'Cause
because I
isn't
remember in
it
the
like
movies they just kind of go
random
back and forth.
sometimes?
Yeah, I think they kind of like disappear and come back. So the setting for this is technically uh early. I think it's way earlier than the Harry Potter movie. So it's kind of like pre all
Oh,
that stuff. But it's still Hogwarts, and there's still a lot of the same tropes. There's still some characters that were like ghosts and things that, I think Nearly Headless Nick might be in it. I don't know if that's a spoiler, but so there's like some characters that are still there, but so it feels like you're watching like the Harry Potter movies. Like, you recognize the space because it's based off what they came up with for the movies, but it's set in a completely different era. But yeah, I mean, the great staircase hall, whatever, that's there. It's just, I think they just slightly changed it, but you still got to go say a password to a painting that opens up before you can go into your house area and stuff. And so yeah, they kept a lot of it alive, but in a good way. You can fast travel, so if you don't want to keep walking all over the place, you don't have to. And then eventually you get a broom, and that just makes it even more bonkers. You can just fly all over the place, and yeah, it's pretty cool.
David, get a question ready, your top burning one, but I have one more follow up about the combat magic stuff
All
because
right.
are you killing just creatures or can you kill people? Because if I'm not mistaken, there's something in the lore about like people were joking like, oh, you can't go around killing your classmates, and like unless like people are coming into the school that are like evil people, you can't kill
Right.
them and get away with it. So are you just killing monsters or what's going on with this?
Yeah, there's a mixture of enemies. There's, giant spiders and other creatures. There's a lot of bad guys. The main bad guy is like an evil goblin, and so he has like a goblin army.
Oh,
But not all goblins are bad, but just he has quite a big army. But then there's also like normal dark wizards that you fight. You don't really
sweet.
fight students a whole lot. You do duels with them, where you fight them. You don't kill them, but you either disarm them or just, in video games you fight them until they've had enough. And so you do
Mm.
some of that. But yeah, I mean, you fight all kinds of different bad guys. Eventually they teach you like darker spells that I I haven't gotten to that part again in my second playthrough, but I think that somehow if you use them, it changes your character. So I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly how that works, um, but yeah, it's interesting. The battle mechanics are pretty fun. I actually was playing a little bit before we recorded today, and I actually lost a fight just not really doing my best and not blocking when I should have been, and not, you know, dodging when I should have been. And so it I think it's fairly justified in and how punishing it is, and there's different difficulties and stuff. So, but yeah, it's fun.
David, shoot.
Just any question.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you already kind of answered this like a little bit when you were talking about performance, but I know I've just been reading all these reports about, say, Borderlands 4 just running like complete garbage on the Switch, and Hogwarts being, along with Cyberpunk, being one of these like really early games that's probably not even the most optimized as these will end up will be. I guess, do you feel like after playing it, do you feel that like Switch 2 is going to be a viable option for these types of games going forward? Or is this just kind of be like an early one that kind of snuck through being okay? Like you see what I'm saying? You feel like it's going to be actually be viable going forward as a AAA console?
I mean, I think so. Based off this, I would say so, because there's a lot at play here. I mean, I know when you're in the castle, it's less of a jarring and like heavy experience for a machine to like make run smoothly. But I know when you get on your broom and you go outside,
Oh,
it like
right. You
makes
can
it
fly,
crazy.
right?
Yeah, it just makes it like way harder for machines to keep up. And so, um, and so the fact that this one can kind of do that stuff really smooth, yeah, it does.
Mhm.
Like visually, it's maybe not, it feels a little less,
Yeah.
but it's smooth, and it wasn't super choppy like it was when I was just messing
Yeah.
around on my Steam Deck.
So
So,
it's kind of my theory is that there's just some bad ports going around, and it's maybe not entirely the console's fault, but I guess time will tell. But if we're hearing good stuff about Cyberpunk and Hogwarts and some of these other games, like maybe Borderlands 4 is just a bad port, and maybe this isn't going to be a big problem. But I guess time will tell.
but what's the time difference between Hogwarts coming out and Borderlands 4? I mean, it's like a couple years.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure because I thought, I mean, I have such a bad sense of the passage of time, but Hogwarts feels like a fairly recent game.
Oh, the
It's
original release,
Yeah,
you
both
mean?
the original
Cyberpunk and Hogwarts I thought were pretty recent
2023
games. 2023. So yeah, that's pretty. That's
February.
well into the current generation life cycle.
Once you
So
get into draw distances, open world, doing something like flying at speed, like you're asking a decent amount of like anything for, that you're running. Like Clay alluded to, the internal areas, aren't going to be as demanding. It's just I've been impressed so far with things that I've seen, like Donkey Kong Bonanza, like these titles that are just it right now. Switch 2 is surprising. That's where I'll like kind of leave it, and I think we were all like have PTSD from Switch 1 titles being like choppy as hell. Like I was just playing Breath of the Wild. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom again last night, and again when you leave that game and you come back to it, just seeing the high frame rates is just insane. So like I'm really hoping that we get a lot of optimized stuff. Like it's interesting in these like data points talking about DLSS. A lot of titles aren't using it yet, and apparently this one is. So people are talking about that technology that Switch 2 now can utilize is just barely getting tapped into, if at all, like right now. So I would say we have a lot to look forward to. But yeah, it being a decent is enough these days, at least for me. A question about the magic, like with the combat and the moves you can do. In my opinion, Harry Potter magic ranges from super lame to like pretty insane. Like when I've seen the magic happen in the movies and stuff like that, it's not like other like, oh, here's the ice spell, here's the fire spell. Like there's more utilization just in like day to day. Like the kids are using it for like lifting stuff and like practical things. But then in the end game fights and things, there's just like this crazy like beam of like electricity or whatever it is, like of energy, I guess. So what kind of things are you doing in the game and how cool are they? Like, do you feel like a badass like doing fire lightning stuff? Like, is there acid? Like, talk to me about the magic. What are you what are you doing?
All right. So basically, the main way this works is you have A, B, X, Y at the bottom right corner. And once you hit right trigger, those buttons become different spells that you have. and different spells have different colors associated with them. So there's some fire ones, they're red. There's the one that Wingardium Leviosa that lifts people up in the air, it's yellow. There's a couple other different ones, but different enemies will have bubbles over them, and if they have a bubble around them, if you just hit right trigger a normal like attack, it does nothing to them. You have to do a magic spell of the color of their bubble to break that bubble so that you can then continue to attack them. And so you have to follow that. So you can't just put like all your like strongest attack spells out, because you won't be able to use them on them because of bubbles around them. And so you have to do whatever spell color it needs. It breaks the bubble, and then you can kind of just do whatever you want to them at that point. But you have a basic attack, but then you have a bunch of other ones. You can lift enemies up in the air. You can pull them to you. You can disarm them with a spell, and it gets rid of any weapon or wand that they have. And so they have some good creative different spell work and stuff. But then they'll do attacks, and you'll get a little warning above your head. It kind of reminds me of like the Arkham games, where you get that little like spidey sense, like and you can dodge it and then do like a parry. There's different like barrels and things around you that you can pick up and throw at people that kind of affect your surroundings and stuff. And so there's different things like that you get to choose from. But they do a pretty good job of giving you more spells as things go on. And like I said, in the later levels, you get some of the more intense Avada Kedavra, those kinds of ones where they're like, ooh, the dark, edgy spells that you probably shouldn't know. But yeah, so that's kind of it in a nutshell. But it's not the most unique thing, but it works really well, and it's challenging, and I think it's pretty fun. So
That's awesome. I'm really excited about the school stuff because like I'm a Persona fan, and they have these just little like, oh yeah, you're fighting, you're adventuring, and then you have these like, you're a student still, so you go to class and you have to like, sometimes you answer quiz questions, and it's just like a way, like an opportunity for them to like expand on the lore and all of that. So do they do a good job there? Like is the classroom stuff, does it feel like a like a pro, like an addition to the game that keeps things interesting, or are you like, oh, I want to get back to like, the action or whatever, or the
no, they do a
exploration?
good job of making sure the school stuff doesn't overstay its welcome. They really mostly focus on the interesting stuff, and every now and then you go to like herbology class, and they don't make you stick around super long in that. And so I think they do a good job of like making you feel like you're going to class, but then you're not like super bored because you're sitting through school. Like nobody would want to do that long term. And so that's nice. I think they do a good job with that, and they keep you moving on to the next thing, which is good. So
David, any final questions, any burning things that you'd like to know about the game, anything that you want to touch on?
No, I think I'm good.
There is a Joy-Con mouse mode here. I have not used the mouse on my Switch 2
I
once.
haven't either.
Not
Whoops.
once. Have you? You haven't either? Is this kind
No.
of wild? I've been told to try Mario Paint because you can now
Mm.
play Mario
I
Paint
need to
with
try
Nintendo
that
Switch Online,
with the
and
mouse.
I've never played it. I don't think I've even seen it running or a screenshot. So I have no idea what this thing is. So I could be in for a treat. This Joy-Con mouse mode has also been talked about with the upcoming Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, I think it's called. Like, I don't know. Like, I kind of hope that they start tapping into this, but I forget that it's there. I'm playing handheld, I'm playing docked, and I'm never playing like, like on my lap or whatever, or in front of a table. So I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be like a flash in the pan thing, like, and the gimmick is gonna be over before it begins. Who knows? Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch 2. Yet another great game, apparently, in the Switch 2 library. So this is gonna be very fun. Let me look up the prices. Was this a very expensive, like $70 game? Let
Yeah.
me see here. I hope not. It goes on sale quite a bit. I think right now
I
you
would think it
can
would be 60 or 70.
It's
you can
42
buy
right now.
Really?
42
Huh.
right now. Yeah, so it's been discounted. You can buy the
It
Switch
was
One
60.
version. You can buy the Switch One version for like $12, play for a little bit, and then it opens up a menu that has the upgrade to Switch 2 option, and then that ticket coupon thing is very discounted as well. So there's this little workaround. I would Google it if you're interested to be able to use that pathway to get a Switch 2 version, like a little workaround for even
But
cheaper. So
$42 for the Switch 2 version is a great price. I'm sure the original was on sale and stuff and all that. And yeah, you might be able to get it cheaper. But $42, that's actually a pretty great price for what I could see justifiably they could argue is a $60 game. So for what it's worth.
It's about 30 hours for the mainline story, and it gets up to 60, 70 hours for completionists apparently on timetobeat.com. So very interesting. Check it out then. We got a recommendation from Clay. Hogwarts, all you Hufflepuffs and Slytherins and Ravenpoofs and all that. Excellent. I should watch those movies. I should wrap this up.
Yeah, you should.
I should figure out what happens at the end. Spoiler, I'm sure it's cool. I mean, I don't know. All right, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us for another exciting episode of Switch Talk 2. We will see you next time. Very soon, I will be talking about a title that I've been playing, Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster for the Switch 2, and other games coming up. We'll see you next time.